cracks, stepping in the cracks, Christine Cargill.
When you were a child, do you remember walking down the footpath and trying to avoid stepping on the cracks or in the cracks on the footpath? Do you remember doing that? Well, a few weeks ago, I was walking to an appointment, and there on the footpath, written in chalk, happiness comes from stepping in the cracks. And I thought, I walked past it and I thought, that's really interesting. And I started thinking about happiness. Happiness, the elusive happiness. Fellow ToastMasters, ladies and gentlemen, and honoured guests, let me talk to you about happiness. Elusive happiness. How many people here are searching for happiness? We all want it, don't we? And we all think we know how we can get it. Do you know what psychologists say about happiness? They say happiness is a preponderance of positive emotion. Now, does that mean anything to anyone? Do you know how they measure it? They give you a questionnaire and they say, when I am doing this, I am always happy, tick the box. Sometimes happy, tick that box. Mostly happy, tick that box. Never happy, tick that box. So you tick one of those. And they get all that data and they measure it, they put it together, and they come up and they say, we've measured happiness. But I say to you that that's not possible, that we cannot measure happiness. We all have our own personal way of knowing if we are happy. And I would say to you that happiness comes from stepping in the cracks. Those cracks are our challenges in life. The ones that we have to do something about, the ones that we'd rather avoid, as a matter of fact. You know, when you have a positive emotion, when you're sitting on a beach and looking at the sunrise, or sitting there with your loved one, you can be in the moment. And you love being in that moment. And when you look back on it, you reflect on it, and you say to yourself, that was just lovely. But when something bad happens in your life, say your loved one passes away or is very ill, or what they call the sound of the siren of the ambulance, that's what you push out of the way. You're not in that moment. You try to let go of it. But they're the very ones that you need to learn from. They're the challenges that will give you the resilience to go forward and to bring you happiness. So I'm sure many of you here have had many challenges in your life. I know I certainly have. I've had a lot of challenges. I was a single parent. I chose that path. It was a very difficult path to choose at the time because it was in the 70s when single parents had no benefit. I had no family in Australia, so it was probably doubly difficult for me. But I chose that path. And there were many challenges for me in choosing that path. But I had some good times in that time as well. I'll tell you a story. I did a concert at the Wayside Chapel during that time. Engaged, my children were my helpers, my two daughters. I had some friends. We put on a musical for the people at the Wayside Chapel. Put the music together. I did the number from Greece, the Sandra Dee number. Does everyone know that? Look at me, I'm Sandra Dee. Lousy with virginity. Wearing my black fishnet stockings, my leotard, my leopard skin leotard. So we put these songs together. My children did the music. Our backdrop was very 70s. Black satin sheet. And I remember Ted Knopf standing up in the balcony, and I looked up and I saw him up there and I thought, oh, this isn't going to go over well. But he leaned over and he clapped and he enjoyed it as much as anyone. And we had some fun. But it was a challenge. Bringing those 2 children up on my own was an enormous challenge. And, you know, I had to work, I had to get a job, I was working, and life was a struggle in terms of financial assistance from anyone. Sometimes I wouldn't be able to pay the electricity bill, so we'd have to sit in the dark and eat until I got paid again. But it was okay. So, and then I went to university, and that was another challenge. It took me a long time to get that first degree, I can tell you. Kept putting it off, going back, putting it off. Something always got in the way, usually money, but I eventually got there. And I've had physical challenges too. And as every year goes past, there are more challenges that come up to meet me. But I do know that they've contributed to my happiness. I believe I'm a happy person. I don't know that I can measure it on a scale of always happy, sometimes happy, mostly happy. But I do know that I'm content, and I think that is my personal experience of happiness. If I can find contentment, if you can find contentment in your lives, that to me is your personal experience of happiness. It enriches your life, however small that may be. So I say to you all, go out there, step in the cracks of life. Do what you can with those. Learn from them. Make them your own personal happiness goal. And be happy.